It was almost 5 a.m. in my corner of the world, scribbling these sentences to record for you later. The city was asleep, but I woke up to something else. Not noise, not light, not even a dream. I woke up to a feeling, a weight, a question clawing at the back of my throat. Why does it feel so heavy just to begin another day? And I know I'm not alone in this. You felt it. I'm sure you did. And you have no idea where it comes from or what to do with it. Well, the truth is, you don't dread waking up in the morning because you're not living your best life. Nobody is living their best life. Our demands from society, from our life and ourselves are so massive that most of us fail to meet them. Almost nobody is waking up in their massive Malibu mansion overlooking the Pacific in the arms of the most gorgeous, kind, and supportive person on earth, and surrounded by wads of cash randomly lying around on the floor. And the few who do, they still dread waking up in the morning. And you know why? 2 reasons. Reason number 1, we dread waking up in the morning because we're not waking up to ourselves. We're waking up to our false selves that we've built to fit in a world that wouldn't have us the way we are. So we keep dragging them along, these huge, heavy Sisyphean masks that weigh us down and never let us live, fly, enjoy our limited moments on earth. We put them on the moment we wake up, even when no one is around. We put them on before we see our own face in the mirror, so we hide our eyes from ourselves. We put on the show the moment we wake up. It's a daily production. And you know what? It's a bad one. We fail at that too, because if we were truly integrated with the role we decided we're supposed to play, we'd be laughing through it with all our hearts. But we don't even do that right. We haven't even chosen the role that fits our true self. None of us are as chameleonic as Brad Pitt, for example, to be able to fit any role we've been given. In fact, the only role we manage to truly play well is the role of ourselves, is the only one that gives us peace, the only one that might put a smile on our faces at 5 a.m. when the garbage truck woke us up to yet another day of whatever life we've happened to build. The self, the real one, not the curated brand we sell to the world, doesn't demand applause. It demands oxygen. It asks for breath, for space, for truth. And when we suffocate it with pretense, it fights back in silence, in dread, in the weight in our chests before our feet hit the floor. And you know what? Even Brad hates waking up to his life, although he is the perfect example of waking up in the best place in the world, wherever he chose that to be. But he can afford to live anywhere, in the arms of a gorgeous woman who loves him, and he stumbles on wads of cash going to the bathroom. And he's still miserable. And how do I know Brad is miserable? Well, just look at him. Look in his eyes. And also know his history of addiction. There's no need for addiction if you've got a good life. Addiction is a love letter to a feeling that no longer visits you. It's a scream in the absence of ecstasy. You don't crave the substance. You crave the state that the substance once opened. Despite what society and capitalism is trying to sell us, a good life is not measured in Malibu mansions. It's measured in moments worth living. And those are not so easy to come by for any of us. And it's not because we haven't done enough. It's not because we haven't tried hard enough, or sometimes even lifted our mask to smell the world from behind it. There's a second reason why we dread waking up in the morning. Reason number 2, for some of us, the misfits, the artists, the overfeelers, this world is not enough. This world is not enough, and it never will be. We were made for more than paperwork and politeness. Our blood is loud and our hearts speak in floods. And trying to live a small life inside a quiet cage is a kind of death we relive every morning. And believe it or not, anyone who's ever taken down the mask for at least once will find himself a misfit. It's a heavy truth for 5 a.m., but the truth nonetheless. I took a breath while writing this to listen to the city outside my window, barely waking up. I heard a tram in the distance and the faint noise of the world slowly stretching itself awake while I'm caught between the darkness outside and my stream of consciousness under my fingers. The birds have still not started chirping in the massive linden trees outside. That's the sign that day is ready to break through. I live a good life, Sheltered, no obligations, very few masks, doing what I want, when I want, living off my passions, writing and painting. It's wonderful, really, but still, this life is not enough. It cannot contain me. I need more life, more intensity sometimes, and more peace when the intensity level is overwhelming. And no, it's not greed. It's not entitlement. It's the ache of a soul born for fire, trying to survive on flickers. It's the loneliness of remembering what you're capable of and realizing most of life asks you to forget. It's a hole most of us will never be able to fill except in a few ecstatic moments, because our soul was not made for limitations. It was made for fullness, absolute, unencumbered fullness. Our bodies, yes, our body belongs to the earth and its limitations. But our spirit was made for everything, everywhere, all at once. That's why we're never fully whole. It's a heavy truth we'll have to live with and find ways to escape it as much as we can, because otherwise the heaviness of existence will be too much to take. Art is one escape, meditation is another, intimacy is another. Walking through a city at night with music in your ears and your chest cracked open like a window, that counts too. Not everything has to be monumental. Sometimes your sanity is kept intact by 4 seconds of truth in a 4-minute song. We need to create experiences for ourselves that bring us the fullness the soul craves. We're trapped between earth and infinity in these meager bodies. We're trapped between dung beetle and God, and we'll have to find ways to reach God level while still collecting dung for our day-to-day existence. That's why we're so damn lost. We live with that contradiction, to hold the mundane in one hand and the magnificent in the other. It's the actual work of being alive, not conquering it, not fixing it, just bearing it beautifully. God level, however, will never be reached by putting on a mask. It will be reached by connection to our true selves, if we can find out what they are. And we can. We just need some practice and experiences that transcend the day-to-day grind. It seems like I'm talking about doing drugs and worshiping the Dark Lord, but I promise you I'm not. Think about it like this. Think of the life of a rock star. Maybe at some point in our lives, we've all wanted that status, fame, attention, money, the ability to drive expensive cars into even more expensive pools, ruin hotel rooms like a metaphor for ruining the fabric of social constructs, etc. But these guys, our idols, the ones we craved to have and be like, the people who lived our ideal lives, they were utterly unhappy. So unhappy that all of them were addicted to heavy stuff that ruined their careers and their lives. And because even when they had that status, they didn't know what to do with it. They had to put on the mask. They couldn't handle the pressure, the anxiety, the constant scrutiny. If they could, and they reached the point where they could give themselves fully to the public, they could only do that while they were creating, making music, writing lyrics, or going on stage where they could give and receive connection to and from the public. And two, when they got off stage, life was still lifing, and they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle the constant transfer between human and God. They needed to make the transition easier with drugs. They all did until they knew better. And some of us never know better. But maybe we don't need to know better. Maybe we just need to know truer. Maybe the answer isn't to be saved from our intensity. Maybe it's to stop apologizing for it. Because sometimes knowing better doesn't feel like healing. It feels like exile, like being cast out from the kingdom of intensity into the wasteland of moderation. And for those of us wired for heat, that moderation can feel like dying with the lights on. And sometimes better isn't better. It's just quieter, safer, more acceptable. But safety isn't the same as aliveness. And if you've ever tasted aliveness even once, you'll crawl through glass to feel it again. So what do? How do we live? We build altars in the middle of our day. We make rituals out of the ordinary. Candlelight with breakfast, singing in the shower like you're breaking spells, dancing to heavy metal first thing in the morning, etc. Stuff like that. They work. We reclaim the wild parts of us the world told us to amputate. We wake up the animal in us and teach it to dance instead of disappear. We find God in a guitar riff, in the line of a poem that makes us gasp, in walking down an empty street at 2 a.m. with a voice in our headphones that feels like it was made to meet us in the dark. We begin to understand that dread is not a flaw. It's a compass, a signal, a no in our bones that points towards a yes we haven't found yet. And most importantly, we stop asking to be understood by people who have never felt fire. They can't see you. They were never meant to. And that doesn't make your fire any less real. There is a particular kind of loneliness that only people with depth understand. It isn't about company. It's about resonance. It's about being met fully by something or someone that doesn't flinch when you show your full shape. Until that happens, or even if it never does, you can still belong to yourself. That's the miracle nobody told us about. That you don't need an audience to be real. That your soul still counts, even if nobody claps. And maybe the point isn't to cure the dread, but to live alongside it, to meet it with something that burns brighter, even if just for a moment. So, tomorrow, when you wake up and the dread is there again, waiting like an old ghost, light a candle anyway. Play the song anyway. Say your own name out loud like a spell. Make eye contact with the part of you that never agreed to shrink, and give it back the mic. Because it has something to say. And the world, this strange, broken, dazzling world, needs that voice. Thank you for being here today. Hope to see you next time too.